Steve, what did the rewatching of the game tell you about the biggest issues?
It actually wasn't that revealing because I think we saw it all live. The 3 fouls immediately were poor decisions, which indicated that we weren't ready to play. So 13 free throws in the first quarter for Houston. It's tough to overcome that on the road, just giving a team points like that. So we weren't sharp at all, but we knew that watching it live, so I'm not sure we learned a whole lot.
On the offensive side, their zone continues at patches of the game to kind of give you all issues. I'm just, what can you do better against that?
We need to space a little bit better, and we just had a walkthrough, so we went through some of that, and we have a few actions that we run against zone, and so tightening up our actions, making sure our spacing is right. We've attacked it pretty well overall in the series, and gotten some good looks, but the idea behind a zone is to force other actions than, what teams are used to. And that's what the playoffs are all about is, trying to take away teams' strengths the best you can. And so, they're playing that zone quite a bit. It allows them to play Adams and Sengun together and, try to avoid the pick and roll with Steph. And so, they're doing a good job of kind of mixing things up, and we have to do a better job of finding rhythm against it.
Hey, Steve, Steph mentioned 2 steals Amen Thompson had on. He was kind of looking ahead of Thompson, trying to, create the pass or look for the pass. Is that something that has just been, part of this offense, or are there ways to kind of avoid Steph having to make a decision like that with a defender like Thompson on him?
Yeah, there's plenty of things that we can do and that we have to do better. I think the game got away from us early last night, and I think we got a little scattered, and that's on me. I got to do a better job of getting us a little more organized and putting us in the spots that we've talked about throughout the series, where we can relieve some of that pressure off of Steph and make good decisions. And we've done that in the series, and the 3 wins, I think we've had 10 or 11 turnovers in each game, and done a really good job of handling their pressure. So got to do a better job of that tomorrow for sure.
I know you're not going to tip your hand, or maybe you haven't made a decision, but have you liked Buddy in the starting lineup? I know obviously he had a win last time he was in the starting lineup. This time the start was a little slow. What kind of thought process is that, whether to keep Buddy in the starting lineup or not?
Yeah, we're considering everything. I think that's one of the things with this team is that we should be flexible every single game in terms of how we're going to approach it, who we're going to start, that sort of thing. Every team that I've coached has been different in that regard. We're lucky enough to basically start the same 5 guys in plenty of the seasons we've had over the years. But this team requires a little more creativity, a little more flexibility, game planning wise. And so all options are on the table for sure.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Janie.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
From the Giants-Rockies game. How is Jonathan doing today? And do you expect he's available tomorrow?
Yeah, he's feeling a lot better today. And he had a migraine yesterday. And so I talked to him today. He said it's cleared up. He'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you talked about how the Rockets are defending Draymond and how it sort of impacts his playmaking. What are the keys to sort of unlocking it, or is that even an option?
No, we can definitely get Draymond into spots to help his playmaking, and it's something that we've talked a lot about. We've walked through a couple things today to get him get him in spots where he can, can create a little bit like he normally does. So, yeah, we've got to do a better job with it for sure.
You guys came into this series talking about two things, basically, that I recall at least. One was turnovers, and the other was just keeping them in the half court as much as possible. Is that strictly about turnovers? How much that is about making sure they don't shoot 70%?
Yeah, it's the turnovers are clearly the the thing we have to handle to keep them out of transition and keep them in the half court. Last night, as I said, the fouls got us into trouble. They had guys go to the line early and often, which allowed them to feel good, see the ball go through the hoop, get some easy points, and then the jump shot becomes a lot easier. And they just lit it up. So we have to do a better job of game plan discipline, forcing more difficult shots, and as you said, keeping them in the half court. If we can do that without fouling, then that was our formula in our 3 victories, and it's not exactly a mystery that we'd like to repeat that.
Steve, are there some things you guys can do differently on Ben's lead? Is it some simple adjustments defensively, just to make things a little bit more difficult on him to have in other games?
Yeah, it's never simple, but they pose a lot of problems. They have a couple great screen setters with Adams and Sengun, massive guys who set good screens up the floor. And Fred has just shot the lights out, 12 for 18 the last 2 games. So we've got to stay more attached to him for sure, handle those pick and rolls better. But he got a few where we just lost our focus too, where we lost our matchup, and he walked into a couple of threes last night. So we can be much better for sure.
Steve, did you think Jimmy was moving? I mean, the results weren't great, but did you think Jimmy was moving better last night than he was for a couple nights ago? Do you think he's almost back to normal from where he would be?
I think Jimmy will be fine tomorrow. I thought he looked good on tape. I didn't do a good enough job of getting him the ball, at key times in the game. But I think he's ready to go and he's excited. This is kind of what he does.
Steph kind of mentioned that too. What would you say, where didn't you guys get Jimmy the ball? How didn't you get him the ball that was kind of an issue yesterday?
Well, we got scattered. We started the game, and we actually started out pretty well offensively. We got some great looks, but we didn't get the ball to Jimmy really at all in the first 3-4 minutes. We were attacking Sengun and pick and roll. We got some good looks. BP got free, but Jimmy got lost in the shuffle a little bit, and. So, the thing with Jimmy is there's nothing complicated about, how he plays. You just got to get him the ball and get spaced. And felt like, after those first 5 minutes where we were actually getting pretty good looks offensively, but we gave up 20 points because we were fouling like crazy and breaking down defensively. So, I think at the first time out, I think I took it was 20-8. And at that point, the game got away from us. So we have to have better control of the game by connecting the offense and the defense, and that's when Jimmy is at his best.
They've had Sengun on Pajemski there. When a wing or a guard has Sengun or a center on him, what kind of generally are the things you want to see from that player?
Well, this was the reason for the lineup change, as you know, to force Sengun on to either BP or someone else, and so it requires pace, a lot of pace, and creativity in the pocket. BP's really good, setting a ball screen for Steph, flipping the screen, hitting the pocket, creating a shot for someone else. In the last 2 games, that's he's done a nice job of that. So it's this is a typical playoff kind of back and forth. You change the matchups like Houston did. It requires some thought because it takes you away from your normal, Steph Draymond pick and roll game, for example. And so we change our lineup to combat that, and it's back and forth. But this is kind of what the playoffs are about.
Dave, how do you feel about possessions when Steph and Jimmy are both on the floor in possessions where neither one of them touches the ball?
I'm not a big fan of that, Monty. Yeah, I prefer when each one touches the ball, or at least one of them. So there were several possessions like that, and it's something that we've talked about all season. Is we have to play off of Steph because of the attention he draws, and then once we got Jimmy, that became a part of the mantra as well. Get the ball to Jimmy. So we'll do a better job of that tomorrow night.
And some of that seems to bleed into your late shot clock situations where you either get a violation or you're close to it and you throw up a grenade. Is that their zone or is that just spacing?
Honestly, to me, the number one thing is taking the ball out of the net every time. When a team shoots 90% of effective field goal percentage in the first half, it's really hard to generate pace and cross matches and advantages. And now you're playing against a set defense, zone defense. So our offense will improve tomorrow if our defense improves.